Hello, hope everybody's doing well. So here we are in week 5 working on our ad evaluation essays. So last week I asked you to be thinking about some strategies for your introduction and for your conclusion for this essay. So we know that in an essay, in our introduction, we need to give some kind of background information about what we're going to be talking about. We're going to need to provide a thesis statement that gives the reader the central idea of our essay, and we need something in there to get the reader interested. Now, there's no one way to do this. You remember my little drawing from last week with the triangles and the rectangle. There are many ways that we can go about this, but the idea is to get the reader's interest, draw them in, and guide them into our essay. So with this ad evaluation, you know that your thesis statement is going to state whether the ad successfully reaches its audience, because that was the point of the essay, right? That's what we're evaluating. And we could do a lot of different things in that introduction to get the reader in and provide some background information. We could talk about the product a little bit. We could talk about where the ad was published a little bit. We could talk about advertising in general. So in my night class last night, we were talking about some different strategies that we could use to introduce an evaluation of that Kraft cheese ad. I showed you that last week and showed you the description and analysis that I did with my in-person class. So let me share the whiteboard and go over some of the things that we came up with last night. We talked about starting with maybe where the ad was published. We talked about starting with context, and we talked about starting with some of the information about the ad itself. So using those ideas, we kind of played around a little bit with a few sentences. So in thinking about the magazine it was published in, we talked about how a lot of people kind of think that print magazines aren't really something that gets a lot of attention anymore, and that it might be kind of surprising that an ad would target the younger generation in a print ad. We talked about how the context could matter, and we talked about kind of describing the ad itself a little bit. And so we toyed around with these things, and we ended up coming up with what I'll show you over here, and I'll post this in your course site too so you can get a good look at it. So we talked about color because color was so important in the ad, and so I decided to lead off by talking a bit about how color is really important in advertising. So I did that, and then from that sentence, I transitioned into the colors of Kraft being so recognizable. You know, people know them for the blue box mac and cheese and for their Kraft singles. That could even be something to talk about, how those are the products that Kraft is really known for, but here they're advertising something different. So from there, I transitioned into the ad and what it's for, where that ad was published, carried in that idea of the color, and then this question of, is a magazine ad really useful now? And then I transitioned into the thesis statement that addresses sort of the categories that were really important in the analysis. This is one example, okay? Your thesis statement doesn't have to be the last sentence in the paragraph. You don't have to talk about color. You don't have to lead with the ad's context, but we found this to be a useful way of doing it. You can also draft an introduction and then change the order of it. I suggested to students last night, start with your thesis statement and write it backwards. Maybe that will help you get some more ideas. If you're struggling, do something creative and try writing from the perspective of the advertiser. Now, your final draft needs to be in third person, needs to be objective, but as you're drafting and playing around and revising, these can be some good strategies, okay? And then talked about inverting that for our closing paragraph. Your conclusion is going to be that evaluation paragraph. So we started by paraphrasing our thesis statement. We went back over the major points from our analysis, and we thought about, you know, circling back to your introduction. If you ask a question in your introduction, maybe you answer that question in your conclusion. If you pose an interesting statement in your introduction, maybe you revisit that in your conclusion. So those are some strategies. Now, we also want to make sure that we transition well from paragraph to paragraph, that our ideas flow and fit together. And you may find that you need to move something from your description into your introduction, or you may decide to change some wording as you go through. That's absolutely fine. Your draft is a draft, okay? Just because you've put something in that stage 1 paragraph doesn't mean you can't move it to your introduction. As you go through and revise, focus on revision before you focus on proofreading. Okay, I want to make sure that you're really focusing on your content. A lot of us jump to the proofreading part because it's easier, right? It's easy to point out, oh, I misspelled that word. Oh, I've got some commas out of place. Then it is to think about, wow, does my organization make sense? Is this really what I want to say here? Do I need to further develop? Do I need to elaborate on these ideas? So make sure that you're really focusing on your content first, and then getting into your proofreading and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to stop there. I'll do another video talking a bit about revision and proofreading strategies. You've got some time to continue working on this essay. Please remember that I will be gone the week of September 19th. I'll be gone on Saturday to the next Sunday. I will not have email readily available. I will be very gone. So if you need help, please get in touch with me in the next day or two here. After Friday afternoon, I'm going to be off the grid. So please make sure if you need help that you get it soon. So I'll be back with a video on proofreading and revision. And I will be back with a video to talk a little bit about what we have coming in week 6 and what you'll be doing while I'm gone. So I hope everyone's doing well. Y'all have a great day.